These are some words about the writing process from the very beginning of trying to get ideas all the way to the end, which is the final draft that you turn in, and usually that one's worth the most points. So here we see the words outline, rough draft 1, rough draft 2, and then final draft. Those are four different assignments. Okay. Um, Keep in mind, an outline is a type of formal document. It's a document of your ideas and the plan for writing an essay, and it has a specific format. It has to have those A's and ones and twos in it. Okay. If your teacher doesn't ask for an outline, but they only ask for like a mind map or a brainstorm, brainstorm can be many different things. Um, that's not as formal, not as strict in how it has to look. So pay attention to that word. That word tells you what the teacher is looking for, and an outline is a very specific type of thing. Okay. Rough and final drafts are different. I guess you can tell from the word rough. A rough draft is not complete, and your teacher might have some requirements for what they're looking for in a final draft, but usually not as many things as they're looking for in a final draft. For example, a rough draft, the teacher might not care if you have every quotation cited. Um, they might not care if you have a works cited page in the rough draft. They will definitely care about those things on the final draft. And things like grammar might matter more in the rough draft or more in the final draft. Um, so check your teacher's grading rubric if they've shared that with you to see what they will grade in your rough draft. Your rough draft still might be worth a lot of points, but the points might be for some things that are not part of the final draft, or only, for example, for structure, or only for content, or something like that. Okay, just be aware that the grades will be often for different things in the rough and the final drafts. And then, of course, the number of drafts is really important. In my classes, each draft gets a certain number of points. Your teacher might do things differently, but for example, the rough draft 1 might be worth 1 point or something like that. The rough draft 2 might be worth 20 points. Pay attention to that, and then make sure you turn them all in, because if you turn in the first one but not the second one because you think, oh, the first one was good enough, you might not get points for the second draft. Okay, so pay attention to how many drafts are actually required and make sure your teacher gets all of those. Okay, so the last category has to do with dates, and these can be a little bit tricky, but of course they are important, like everything else here. So you see this phrase here, hand this in. That's a type of phrasal verb. Hand in is related to submit, um, and you also see the words submit and then turn in. Actually, I don't think turn in is here, but you do see submit here. You also see may and must. Those are obviously two different words. You also see handwritten, typed, canvas, hard copy. So, what do all those mean? Let me explain. Okay, so hand in, turn in, and submit are very similar. Turn in and submit both mean just make sure the teacher gets it. Okay, the teacher might say submit on Canvas, and that means you have to turn it in on Canvas, not in Google Classroom, not on paper, etc. Hand in is almost always paper. When people say hand in, you're supposed to imagine they have hands and they're physically giving you something. So that's hand in. Turn in and submit can be a lot of different things. So hard and soft copies of an assignment are physical or not. Okay, hard is a paper copy. Soft is a digital copy. Digital means Google Classroom or Microsoft Word or online, okay, or PDF. Um, so hard means physically on paper. Hard means you have to print it, staple it. Staple it, please, before you get to class, because that's the teacher doesn't always have a stapler. And physically give it to the teacher, right? The teacher will have a big stack of your papers at the end of class if they ask for a hard copy. Um, Soft means, again, digitally or online. Pay attention to what format the teacher asks for. They might ask for only Microsoft Word or only Google Docs or anything. But hard just means physical and soft means digital. Of course, the words must versus may and can are very important. Must means you have to do it a certain way. May means you have a choice. Can means you have a choice. And as always, and or are really important words. If it says this assignment must be turned in on Canvas and a hard copy, you have to do both. You have to turn it in on Canvas, on the computer, and print a paper copy. If it says you must turn this in on paper and or digitally means you have a choice, right? You can just turn it in online or just give them a paper copy. In my experience, most teachers always ask for both. Okay. So, more about the dates. Sorry, the last one was more about how to turn things in. So this is about the dates. You see a lot of words here like in, on, by, at. Those are prepositions, and those are very important when we talk about dates. Everything is very important. So first of all, the word due. When you see the word before a date, that's when you have to turn something in. Okay, so we usually say it is due on this day. Due just means you have to turn it in that day. Okay, so this difference, the next difference is very, very important. On or at versus by or before. If you require something on Tuesday, it could be any time on that day. Okay, so on Tuesday could be before class on Tuesday, or it could be before midnight on Tuesday. Okay, but if it says by Tuesday or before Tuesday, both of those mean you have to do it on Monday. Okay, by Tuesday means do it before Tuesday starts. Before Tuesday also means do it before Tuesday starts. Okay, so if you turn it in at 1 in the morning on Tuesday, it's late. Okay. Also pay attention to the time. So sometimes the teacher will say on Tuesday at 1 o'clock. If you have class at 1 o'clock, you can just bring the paper copy and hand it to the teacher at 1 o'clock. Sometimes it'll say on Tuesday before 1 o'clock. And in that case, you have to have it done before 1 p.m. If your class starts at 1 p.m. and it says by 1 p.m., that means it has to be done before class. Okay, so pay close attention to the times, the dates, and then especially on or at versus before and by. Okay, so that was the prompt. I hope these words are a little more clear to you, and I hope you have the will and the way to read your prompts more carefully from now on. Thanks for listening.